If you're listening out there, you're not feeding yourself only. You're a host to many bacteria or this microbiome. You got to feed them too because they're critical for your overall health. Is that a good summary, young Martha?
That is.
Brilliant. Okay, so 3 myths now. Let's talk about your backstory, how you got into this, because from what I understand, you're an accountant, you're a system sort of analyst. You obviously, have gone through this journey for a specific reason. And yeah, condolences for your husband that's passed recently.
Thank you. Yes, so my background was accounting, systems based. I was an auditor for a company called Arthur Anderson, which was the Big Eight, they used to call them, and really trained at how to look at a business to identify risk by mapping out everything that was flowing through the system. And I just carried that forward into my career. I became a kind of systems operator and turnaround expert. And in 2002, my 44-year-old husband, who was a marathon running athlete, really good shape, never did anything bad, no drugs, no smoking, no nothing like that, was diagnosed with Parkinson's, an old person's disease. And I just kind of refused to take the standard dogma about that disease. And it just didn't make sense to me that somebody who was 44 would be getting an old person's disease. So I really started to dig in at that point. And of course, that systems-based approach, the first thing I looked at was food, because that's the main thing flowing through the system. And so I dramatically changed our diet, threw out all the processed foods. He had been drinking a soy protein shake every day, and I started to look at and investigate soy. And at that time, about 97% of the soy was GMO and likely had glyphosate residues, and started to understand those pieces. And just piece by piece, started studying the areas of science until in 2014, I read Dr. Martin Blazer's book. It's called Missing Microbes, and it's about the growing up in the age of antibiotics, which we have, and the connection to chronic disease. Because prior to that, no antibiotics, no chronic disease. We had acute disease. But these antibiotics have destroyed our microbiome because most of them are indiscriminate. And by doing that, that has altered this ecosystem and contributed to all these things. And I was like, that makes sense to me. It's like the gut is the general ledger of the body, and we've taken away a bunch of the assets. And so about 6 months later, the first paper was published where they showed they could divide the two types of Parkinson's. In Parkinson's, there's a tremor dominant and there's a posture and gait dominant. And they could separate people by the bacteria in their gut. And I was like, Eureka, that's it. I quit my job, started funding some research at the University of Chicago, where I met Dr. Jack Gilbert, who co-founded the BioCollective with me, along with Dr. Suzanne Vernon. And we started collecting people's poop samples, because your stool is a treasure trove of information, of genetic information, but it's also just looking at it. And this probably should have been in the myths. Like, can your stool tell you whether you're healthy? Well, it can. So in the European microbiome study, your stool quality and consistency was in the top 10. I think it was number 3 of the predictors of your long-term health.
Wow. Is there a study there, or was that a study? Have you got a reference to that?
That was a study from the European Microbiome Project. Okay. And they looked at, I think it was like 200 factors or something.
Okay, good. So we'll put that in the show notes, and you're listening up. Your stool and your poop is crucially important as a data point in terms of your health span and your lifespan.